Okay, good evening and welcome to the second in a series of forums for the primary election sponsored by the League of Women Voters and the Wyoming Tribune-Eagle. This tonight is for the County Commission, in which there are 3 open seats. So we have 3 Republicans running. It is a partisan race, and then 1 Democrat, Lee Filer, who is not here at this time. I will just say the Spectrum is recording, and we'll post this on YouTube later. And you will find YouTube links on our Facebook page, the League of Women Voters, or email us at cheyenneLWV@gmail.com, and we'll give it to you. I am Marguerite Herman, a member of the League of Women Voters. I'll be moderating tonight. We have a timer, several people in the audience, and where we hope is that there will be some time tonight for audience questions. So we have a member of the League here with cards and pencils, and if you have a question, we'll get through 2 or 3 of our own questions, and then we'll be adding more from the audience. And we have some late arrivals because finding a parking place and getting into the chambers here this evening is quite a challenge. So if very understandable if some people are late. But we'll go ahead and get started because it is the hour. First of all, thanks to Spectrum, the city, and the newspaper for helping to put this on. Early voting continues in the county building atrium, and you can get a paper absentee ballot from the county clerk's office. Also get information on how and where to register and vote from the Laramie County Clerk's website or call her. General Election Day is November 6th. League of Women Voters, just a little basic background, is a nonpartisan organization open to all that works to help people get involved in their government, to be informed, and to vote. We hope that these forums help provide some information, but we urge people to check out the candidates' materials and to contact them with other questions. They have Facebook pages usually, a website, or just contact them with an email, and I'm sure they'll be happy to talk to you. Wyoming has, League of Women Voters has written a list of 5 principles for campaign integrity, and there are copies out there on the table. We hope they help voters evaluate candidates in their campaigns. We hope candidates endorse the principles and observe them as they campaign for election. And I must say, the candidates in tonight's election for the County Commission have adhered to all of these, whether they know them or not. They've been great campaigners. So kudos to you for not indulging in some of the other practices we see around the nation. So for tonight's forum, there are 3 open seats in the Laramie County Commission, which is a partisan race. Voters may vote for up to 3 people among the 4 who are running. Republicans Troy Thompson and Linda Heath, and those are the 2 incumbents. Gunnar Malm is running also, and then the Democrat Lee Filer, who we hope will be able to attend before we're done tonight. The office is for 4 years, and there are no term limits. The format tonight, just to give you a roadmap, candidates will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves, say why they're running, that sort of thing. Then we'll go into the questions. We will have about 45 minutes for questions, and so you'll have a minute and a half to answer a question with an optional 30 seconds if you want to comment further for whatever reason, and then we'll move on to the next question. And then you will finally have 2 minutes to close, which you can use to sum up or to add a comment on a topic that we haven't covered. And then, as I mentioned before, people from the audience, you can add questions if you want. We have League members with cards and pencils, which you can add, and they'll bring up here, and we'll try to get them in. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started. And what we'll do is we'll start with Ms. Heath and then go down, and then we'll just alternate the beginning person for each time. So to begin with, 2 minutes to introduce yourself and say why you're running and why you want people to vote for you.
Okay, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity to have the forum this evening. I grew up on a farm in western Nebraska as a 4-H member and a project leader, so agriculture is in my blood. I attended Eastern Wyoming College and Chadron State College, earning degrees in animal health technology and graphic arts communication. I'm a proud retired military spouse of a service-disabled veteran, mother of 3 grown children, a homeschool parent with 12 years experience, and a member of the American Legion Post Auxiliary over in Pine Bluffs, a Pastawana leader and regional advisor. I'm also a lifelong Republican, finding that my values most closely match those of the party. Why I am running for re-election. There are projects underway right now with the county that I would like to see through to completion, such as the courthouse and detention center projects and the multi-event center. We've worked hard on those projects for the last 4 years, and you just want to see those through, and I'm excited for the opportunities that we will have with the event center, and also getting the fair moved out there. I have others that I want to see through and believe need to be addressed. This would be an EMA and health department storage building. This was a project that was on the last six-penny ballot that was defeated. We still have a need for that. I would like to see that taken care of. Also, the build-out of the Archer complex and managing the continuing population growth with responsible manner. I look forward to working with the residents of Laramie County to identify solutions and realizing that as commissioners we are the administrative arm of the state at the county level, and that the government cannot, nor should government, solve everybody's problems.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Malm, 2 minutes to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Marguerite, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for having us here tonight. My name is Gunnar Malm. I'm a sixth-generation Laramie County resident and local real estate agent here in Cheyenne. I'm actually the first generation of my family since we came to the United States in 1886 to not grow up in Albin or Pine Bluffs. So Cheyenne is my home, but I truly am from all of Laramie County. I believe that my personal and professional background make me well-suited to represent the entire population of Laramie County, and both of those backgrounds make me an asset on the commission. Personally, I've served on various boards and commissions, from the Board of Recover Wyoming to the Wyoming Housing Opportunities Association, which helps provide low-income housing throughout the city of Cheyenne and across the state of Wyoming. I have also served as the president-elect for the Wyoming Association of Realtors and the public policy chair for both the state and our local Board of Realtors. I believe my background in real estate and property rights makes me an asset on the commission, because many of the things that the commission deals with are land use and land use regulations and planning. I believe that also my background with negotiations and being a negotiator between parties, buyers, sellers, businesses, and the like would be a real asset and something that I would bring to the table as a commissioner. I also, in my role as a real estate agent here in Cheyenne, have been able to see why people come to Laramie County, and unfortunately I've been able to see why they leave. And I think that knowledge, firsthand experience of seeing the roadblocks that government has put in the place of some businesses, and maybe some things that our community is lacking, that knowledge allows me to be a good commissioner and bring that knowledge to the dais. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Thompson, 2 minutes to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Marguerite. Thanks to the League of Women Voters for having us here tonight. I always tell people that there's two remarkably important things. The first is to vote, and the second is to make sure that you're informed when you vote. And so having candidate forums like this, crucial to our process. My name is Troy Thompson. I was raised in Laramie County. Graduated from Seton Catholic High School back in 1989, went out east to Cornell University for undergraduate, and then went to Washington State University in Pullman, Washington, for veterinary school. Had the remarkable opportunity when I graduated veterinary school to come back to Cheyenne. Got a job at Avenues Pet Clinic, worked there for a couple years for Dr. Gene Cotton, and then had an opportunity, had a phone call one day. Dr. Charlie Saint called and said, "Hey, I'm moving to Arizona. I want to sell my clinic. Do you want to buy it?" And I said, "Sure." I have been a practicing veterinarian and a small business owner ever since. And it was that small business ownership within the city of Cheyenne and my roots in Laramie County and growing up here that made me want to run for county commission. It was always something that we wanted to give back. I say we because my wife, Beth from Pine Bluffs, we've done this together all the way. And we talked about serving our community and giving back to our community. And we looked at the different opportunities, and we thought that county commission was a great way to do that. I am the longest tenured commissioner on the commission, having served 2 terms. Run for re-election for one reason. I love Laramie County. I love Laramie County. I love the state of Wyoming. This is the most amazing job, most interesting job, the most frustrating job, the most crazy job that I've ever done. And to this day, there's things that we will do where we'll say, wait a minute, we do that as well. So I thoroughly enjoy representing the people of Laramie County, thoroughly enjoy being a county commissioner, and I certainly hope the voters will let me do it for another 4 years on November 6th.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move into the questioning part again, 1.5 minutes to answer, and then you'll have an extra 30 seconds if you want it afterwards to add your own or respond to somebody else talking. So we'll start with Mr. Malm. I know we asked this during the primary all those weeks ago, but we are asking again about the 3 most pressing issues for the county and how you would propose to solve them. But, and for the incumbents, I'm going to add, and maybe I'll even open that up to Mr. Malm, is if you want to throw in there one of the most pressing problems you have solved in the past 4 years, or the most difficult, thorny issues that has faced, maybe in the past, maybe it's ongoing, and how you responded to it, how you voted for it. So just to broaden it a little bit to going forward or looking backwards, really tough, pressing issues. And so I guess we'll start with Mr. Malm.
All right, thank you,
Sorry to
Marguerite.
throw that little wrinkle in, but I thought I'd just expand it. Thank you.
You're fine. So when I was looking at running for county commissioner, I actually met with both of these fine commissioners here and let them know that I wasn't running because of, or as an indictment to the current commission or something that I necessarily saw as a major lacking in leadership. I just felt my voice could be added to the conversation and needed to be. The 3 priorities that I see are kind of coming right out of the Laramie County Comprehensive Plan, which are to ensure that we have broadband and technology access throughout our entire county, making sure that we have proper infrastructure plan to deal with the increased subdivisions and increased population as we move east, and then also as we're going to see growth in other directions throughout our county. And then the other thing I really think we need to work on is we need to be prepared and have a good working relationship with the city of Cheyenne. With the elimination of extraterritorial jurisdiction in the last legislative session, the city's say in planning in the county has been limited. And as we see the city grow, I think that we might see some conflicts there, and I think it's going to be good to have that working relationship, especially as we go towards Sweetgrass and the Southside Water and Sewer District with their infrastructure, and out to the southwest of Cheyenne. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. I think when you look at what's been going on in Laramie County and the biggest issues that we've faced recently, I think the biggest issue is land use regulations. And then maybe 2 and 3 would be land use regulations and then maybe land use regulations.
Yes.
We've had a lot of discussion from the shooting range out north of town to the rock quarry west of town and how we handle those and the discussions we've had. And it just so happens that we're also reworking and redoing and updating our land use regulations. And I think it's with those projects in mind that we have had a lot of discussions on, are we doing this correctly? And we've been seeking input from the public and having people come talk to us. What do you want us to do with these land use regulations? And I think one of the things that we have talked about the most is when you've got decisions like this, I think those decisions that are very controversial need to be handled by the elected officials as opposed to the Planning Commission, which is a group of volunteers who provide this wonderful service and do a wonderful job. But again, when you have these decisions that are very controversial, I think those decisions need to be made by the elected officials. The other things currently going on in Laramie County that are pressing moving forward, obviously the projects that we've got going on, the courthouse remodel, the Archer Event Center, and then of course one thing that we've done in the past that has been a real sticky issue is the 6-penny ballot, and we've done that twice and in my terms, and those can be kind of ugly issues.
Okay. Thank you. And you have another 30 seconds if you think of something else. Ms. Heath, pressing issues going forward and maybe ongoing that you've already wrestled with?
I think, I can agree with Commissioner Thompson on the land use regs, but I think one of the things that's impacting how we react with our land use regs is the continued population growth here in Laramie County. We're seeing more and more subdivisions going out to the east, and now we've got Sweetgrass going out on the south side, and how that's going to impact the residents out there, both traffic-wise and possibly through their water and sewer district out there as well. And with that growth, we have to look at supporting the infrastructure, whether it's law enforcement, fire, our emergency medical services, and emergency communications. These are all things that are going to be stretched in order to adapt to that growth. The traffic congestion, these are all things that we need to be looking at. I think one of the things that we really need to do is to talk to the public and listen to their input as well. I said it before, government isn't meant to solve everybody's problems, and we have to have the input of the public, those that voted for us, to help us along. As far as something that I've been involved with that and how I voted with it, we did a rather unique setup with our planning and development department out at the Archer complex. We have a kind of a public-private partnership going on out there. It seems to be working very, very well for us. It's unique in its whole entire development. The other thing is that I worked with the comprehensive plan, and we had a lot of public input on that.
Okay, thank you. And just open up an extra 30 seconds. Does anyone want to add on or comment further?
I don't know that I'll take a full 30 seconds, but I just would concur with both the commissioners in regards to the Planning Commission decisions and those being resting wholly with a volunteer board. I'm a member of the Cheyenne Planning Commission, and I know that our decisions are viewed as recommendations, but the city council are who ultimately approve or don't approve projects and plats that come before us. The one more thing that I see wrong with just having the Planning Commission at the county level.
Go ahead, finish your, go ahead.
The only next step for somebody to appeal is to go straight to district court. And I think we all know that our court system is backlogged here in Laramie County, and it just does not seem judicious or cost-effective to do that.
Okay. Does anyone want to add? Yes.
I would like to add, too, that along with this growth, one of the things that we've really got to be aware of is protecting private property rights. Everybody's got them, and we can't ignore that. We have to work together in order to preserve those private property rights.
Well, let me just throw this out as just a real quick, and maybe just give 30 seconds if you can get a quick, and just thought, you hear from people who say, well, I moved in the county, so I didn't have any regulation. The government couldn't tell me what to do with my little piece of paradise, that I have out there. And just very quickly, because this is not the first time you've heard that sentiment expressed, how would you respond to that real quickly? Start with Mr. Thompson.
So nobody wants to be messed with until their neighbor does something that they don't want them to do. And we deal with that all the time in Laramie County, and that is a very fine balancing act. And we struggle with that. And I think that's why we're redoing our land use regulations and why we've sought so much public input into those land use regulations, because it's a tough decision. And that is the case. I'm a county resident. I don't want the government telling me what to do, but don't let my neighbor do anything that I don't want him to do.
Balancing. I guess we'll go to Ms. Heath. Yes, yes.
Balancing those conflicts between residents is a challenging aspect, because we have to look at health and public safety as well when we look at private property rights. And again, you don't want anybody else to do something that annoys you, but it invariably happens. And I think a lot of that, just some respects, comes back to just being civil with each other and being able to sit down and talk with each other about our issues and trying to work them out first before bringing in law enforcement or the commissioners even.
Thank you. Mr. Mull.
Yes, I would just start with that. One obvious solution is countywide zoning, which I firmly am against. Okay. I don't think that the county needs to be looking to do something like that. One private sector solution that works throughout the county is covenants. That way the government is not involved at all. You agree to covenants when you move into a particular subdivision or area, and you are made aware of those when you're buying the home. But in cases where maybe a subdivision abuts large swaths of vacant land, you run a risk. Our rural nature allows you, puts you in a precarious situation, and that balance is difficult.
Okay, thank you. And we may revisit that if we have time later on. But let's go ahead and move to the next question. And we'll start with Mr. Thompson, a minute and a half. As the legislature is poised to pass a local option sales tax for communities, how would this affect counties, specifically Laramie County, if one were